People with disabilities a lot of the time have physical characteristics of their disability. As far as Down syndrome, they have differently shaped ear canals, which make it harder to keep them clean and to keep them without the wax buildup. I administer a lot of meds to people with Down syndrome in their ears. They have to have eardrops. They have to, a lot of the time, use peroxide to soften up the ear canals. Other disabilities, there's certain disabilities that don't have a lot of the physical characteristics. As where Down syndrome, you can kind of point out certain things that may be a little bit different. And in the inside, there is differently shaped brains, and they all a lot of the time develop Alzheimer's and dementia. It's usually at an earlier state of age, as where somebody that did not have a disability wouldn't develop it until later on in life, roughly 70s, 60s, 70s. And Down syndrome would be anywhere from 20 years old to wherever their life expectancy. 45 is the life expectancy for Down syndrome diagnosis. And you can see that anywhere in between 20 and older or earlier even. There are the disabilities that don't have a lot of physical characteristics are autism, anything that's intellectually, the brain is shaped, it looks okay, but then the physical development over time. As PKU, it is a long word and I don't know how to say it, but PKU, there are certain things that they cannot eat. A person with PKU, when eating proteins, they have to be below a certain amount of protein, or the protein will eat away at their brain over time, gradually, and just kind of make them so that they don't function the correct way. I work with a lady that does have the PKU, and she is 60, she'll be 64. So if they would have found it earlier, she probably would have been able to stay away from the proteins. And there are doctors now that test for the PKU so that when the child does grow older and can have the proteins, or if the proteins in the milk aren't good for them, they might have to have a substitute or a replacement. In PKU, there are supplements that provide the energy levels and the other minerals and proteins that are needed to function the body. But like I said, the proteins over time will eat away at the brain and slowly cause an effect on the functionality of the person or the physical, where their tummy is distended and there just isn't a whole lot of meat anywhere else. They're skinny usually. Along with the PKU comes more diet restrictions, along with intake output. You have to monitor that to make sure they're going to the bathroom and they're getting enough nutrients through the PKU foods, the PKU approved foods. A lot of the time they can't have milk, they can't have peanuts because those are outrageously high on protein. The milk, the wheat, a lot of the times they're gluten-free. There's so many disabilities that a lot of which the diet needs to be restricted in order to maintain health. My sightings are from, well, I work with people that do have disabilities every day. So most of it's my knowledge of myself, the age expectancy. I learned that in one of my classes that I took for working with the people supported. I could talk and talk and talk. I love my job, and I really love studying more and more about the disabilities and more about the different diagnoses that people do get diagnosed with, because it's so interesting learning what they can and cannot do in order to maintain health. But people with disabilities have the same functionality as people who don't have disabilities. It's just a person.